Good morning to you. We are live at SeaWorld in the wild Arctic. Can't you tell? We're surrounded by ice and chilly water and, of course, the beluga whales. Hey, buddy, how are you doing? I'll be feeding him more in just a minute, but first we do want to talk about your weather. Well, this has been an incredible experience to say the least. Right now we are on top of the flight deck. We have some helos to send out to North Island still this morning. Okay, well, this is a Piper Warrior 2, and it goes about 120 miles per hour. That's about as fast as I'm going to be cruising. Now, Scripps researchers are hoping they can put not just biodiesel, but biofuels made of algae in all combustible engines. Take a look. In just a moment, this harbor seal pup is going to be released into the Point Loma kelp beds. After being in SeaWorld's care for nearly 3 weeks, it's healthy now and it's ready to get back to life as usual.
It's hard for some people in other parts of the county to imagine that there are areas with pretty good air quality right now, but it does look pretty good there, Natasha.
Yeah, it's actually improved. In fact, right overhead, we've got beautiful blue sky. When I first arrived here a couple of hours ago, it was actually raining ash a bit, but that has ceased. So what we have now, roughly, I'm going to go for 4,000 people moving on ground here at Qualcomm Stadium. And we actually have another resident here who was displaced temporarily. Thank you so much. You know, we are live on TV, and I wanted to talk to you earlier at any rate. Okay. Mr. Katz, you are from New York. You moved here to San Diego. This is your dream place to live. Tell us about what you're going through so far.
It's scary. I don't know if we have, any place to live. But we're here, and people are trying to help and take care of us. And with the dogs, it's a little more difficult. We can't go inside with them, but we'll do what we can, and this too will pass. And hopefully, we have a house to go to. At least we have a plot of land. So we'll see what happens.
Basically, what it is you show up. You show up and you talk to people, because right now it's a bit on the, I won't say chaotic side, but people are very busy. So if you want to volunteer, come down to Qualcomm Stadium, go through the main gate. If you're a vet tech and you want to volunteer, come back to the southwest corner and meet with NOAA's WISH disaster response team and talk to the head person here. That's pretty much the only way you're going to get in direct contact with somebody right now. Lieutenant Ron Flanders has been helping us out with this entire trip. We want to talk to him this morning. Lieutenant, please tell us the feeling on board the ship as we approach home.
Well, pardon our noise. Last of the helos getting off. We are now getting ready to man the rails, and I see a lot of smiles out here.
Hello, nice to see both of you. Yeah, well, of course, we're here back home, and these families were so much fun to travel with. I feel so privileged to have been aboard the ship USS Ronald Reagan, and the families who came along boarded the ship in Hawaii. So they've been on about 8 days. They had a really good chance to find out what their family members do on the ship, whether it comes to flying or whether it comes to directing the traffic. They learned it all, and right now we're going to show you exactly what it was like behind the scenes. Now take a look.
They all do their part to help somebody else get out in the air.
Family members are getting a taste of what life is like aboard an aircraft carrier.
It's difficult to explain to them exactly what you do, and for one of them to come and visit and actually see what goes on means a lot.
These sailors are getting recognition for a job well done. It's the end of a 3-month deployment, but the beginning of the cruise of a lifetime.
These jets are fired up, they're ready to go, they're just ready to take off. They're at full throttle, and these people are underneath them, hooking them to the catapult and then busting out of the way and letting the plane launch. It's just amazing.
We have almost 500 tigers on board, and the neatest thing is seeing sailors get to show their parents what they do and their kids what they do.
Making the transition from an aircraft carrier back to home life can be a real struggle, especially when you're expecting 2 brand new babies.
There's fear, there's anticipation, there's excitement. There are 2 babies that have been in the world for 9 weeks that don't know me, and we have to acclimate ourselves to each other.
New lives to celebrate and a new appreciation for a sailor's mission.
When I see my wife walk up the brow, I will know I am home.
This harbor seal pup can smell freedom in the air. He spent the last 3 weeks under SeaWorld's care, and now he's well enough to go back to the wild.
Harbor seals tend to be a little more solitary. He's actually a pup from this season, so he probably pupped out in January or February, so he is a young guy. He knows when we're coming with the fish. He gets right in the pool and starts eating the fish really well, which is great for us because that lets us know he's ready to be released.
Nearly 3 weeks ago, the seal was rescued at Children's Pool in La Jolla. He was living with a strand of fishing line around his neck and hook in his mouth. SeaWorld says his wounds were not as bad as they could have been. They treated the pup with antibiotics to prevent infection, and now he's in good shape.
He wasn't here very long either, so we're good. A couple pounds, so that's good for an animal this size. That's always encouraging.
So encouraging that even the dolphins were standing by to say a final farewell to the pup. Now with the seal in the transport container, we're homeward bound.
This is the most rewarding part of the job right here, what we're doing today.
On the way out to the Point Loma kelp beds, we waved to some friendly faces. All the while, we're anticipating the big release. Sometimes I catch myself looking at the seal, wondering if he knows he's going home. In just a moment, this harbor seal pup is going to be released into the Point Loma kelp beds. After being in SeaWorld's care for nearly 3 weeks, it's healthy now and it's ready to get back to life as usual. Cautiously, he wiggles his body over the edge, and he's in. He gave us a good chase, swimming fast, as if he knows this place like the back of his flippers. Every so often, those beady eyes would surface. I bet he thinks this is a game, disappearing like a marine mammal Houdini. Eventually, we had to say our goodbyes, comforted by the thought that he's home where he belongs. Natasha Stenbock, News 8. Compared to the wild Bering Sea, commercial fishermen here have it pretty easy. We linked up a local crab fisherman with those from the deadliest catch. Watch as they compare notes. Alaska's ruthless Bering Sea. San Diego. Waves towering over 50 feet.
Watch out. Hang on.
La Jolla swells 2 to 3 feet.
The ocean's heaven and hell, like this close together. 1 second is heaven and the next second is hell.
The camera just doesn't pick up how severe the weather is or how much you're rocking and rolling. You know, when you lay down in bed on one of those boats, you're almost strapped in, and when it's blowing out like that, you can't go to the bathroom, you can't cook.
The deadliest catch got its name for a reason. The Bering Sea will take anything and everything in its path. Phil Harris and Jonathan Hillstrand are crab boat captains in Alaska. They're also survivors. So of course we have to ask, why not trade the icebergs for fishing under the sun here?
The fishing down here is a lot different than what we're used to. You know, we kind of are living on the edge up there, and we kind of need that shot of adrenaline.
Longtime local fisherman Lauro Saraspi has a healthy respect for the ocean and knows Southern California cannot compare to the stormy seas of Alaska.
You don't even go out the Mission Bay jetty when it's rough, when the surf is 3 or 4 feet, 5 feet high. And up there they fish in 20, 30-foot swells, waves. And it's amazing. I mean, there's just no comparison.
Lauro and his son Andy are not just fishermen, but avid Deadliest Catch viewers. But when you talk to the captains of this reality show, they say the cameras only catch a portion of what really goes on out there.
When you start watching in April, you're 6 months behind what we did.
Even with all the camera crew, dog and pony show, these captains remain true to their roots, as humble as can be.
Everybody makes such a fuss about us wherever we go, and it's certainly gratifying to get the recognition, but also, you know, I'm just a fisherman, that's all.
So we're just crabbers. We're not actors. We're just guys.
While this is a TV show to us, it's still a job to them, a job they rely on to bring in cash. So what's the future of crabbing in Alaska?
I'm a little worried we might be over-harvesting the king crab, but we'll find out when we get the next survey.
Crabbing-wise, we've been doing really well. So the seasons used to last a lot longer. You know, we'd have a season of king crab, we'd catch 1.5 million, 2 million pounds. We don't do that anymore because we aren't allowed to. We're only allowed to catch what our quota is.
Fishermen know it's natural for crab populations to fluctuate from year to year, but it's still tough when your landings aren't big, including here in San Diego.
This year, as I'm fishing, I see it's probably one of the worst years I've ever seen in crab fishing. And I've been crab fishing for probably 40 years.
Whether it's a California stone crab in our backyard or Opelio in Alaska, these dedicated fishermen carry a special level of courage.
So if you went to the north part of Hawaii, you know, they all surfboard in the big waves. Well, our boat's a little surfboard, and that's just the way it feels. And you're just praying to God you're going to make it through it.
And we have so many more great stories from the captains of the deadliest catch. If you'd like to watch the outtakes, you can log on to our website, cbs8.com/Earth8. Now, Scripps researchers are hoping they can put not just biodiesel, but biofuels made of algae in all combustible engines. Take a look. The search for a green substitute for fossil fuels has switched from the soil to the sea.
So take a deep breath. Half the oxygen you just breathed came from phytoplankton in the ocean.
It's referred to as the green bullet. Marine algae could be the double shot scientists are looking for when it comes to tackling global climate change. It not only absorbs carbon from the atmosphere, but can also be manipulated into producing oil to make biofuel. It's also more commercially practical than ethanol, since it doesn't compete with food crops. And it grows in salt water, so it doesn't threaten drinking water supplies.
It's not 100% recycling, but it certainly is a partial recycling of the carbon. So from that aspect, the societal benefits are really tremendous.
Scientists at Scripps Institution of Oceanography are on a mission to figure out how to make algae biofuel an affordable and realistic solution to the world's energy crisis.
With fossil fuels, we burn the fossil fuels right now, producing CO2. We have atmospheric issues with that. When you talk about using algae, the way in which they make their lipids initially is they take CO2 from the atmosphere. They fix it into carbon in the cell, and then they convert that to lipids for fuel.
The federal government is also betting heavily on the idea. Last month, the Department of Defense announced a $20 million deal with San Diego company General Atomics to fund algae biofuel research. They're working with Scripps scientists to make it happen.
I'm actually very excited about some of the things that we're finding.
Algae comes in millions of different forms, so part of the challenge is figuring out which types make the most high-quality oil or lipids. One way to get them to produce more lipids is to put them under stress.
What they do then is they put it into lipid reserves, not unlike the way that we store away when we have a turkey dinner and store away some as oils around our midsection.
Scripps scientists recognize a lot of challenges remain before they'll be able to turn algae biofuel into an economical solution. Right now, it still can't compete with gasoline, costing around $30 to produce just 1 gallon. Still, scientists believe algae may have the best chance of becoming a truly green substitute for oil.
Natasha right here is one of them. Natasha,
yes.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
This is an excellent, exciting weekend. This is your plane.
Yes,
Tell me a little bit about this plane, how fast it goes, and what it's capable of doing.
Okay, well, this is a Piper Warrior 2, and it goes about 120 miles per hour. That's about as fast as I'm going to be cruising. And this is a great airplane, 160 horsepower. It's a rental, by the way. It's not actually my own. I don't own an airplane yet, but all the other ladies who are going to be flying in the air show do own airplanes, and they have some beauties out here, which I'm sure we'll get a chance to look at a little bit later.
You picked up this hobby in 2008. What is it about flying that you love?
You know, I was scared to death of flying, and I said, you know what, never mind that. I'm going to get my license, I'm going to learn how to overcome this fear, and now I can't get enough of it. In fact, if I could do some aerobatics in this air show, I would, but we'll be doing a nice low flyover.